I'm a life coach, but I tell you, I get very disenchanted by all the coaches always pushing their latest program, their latest workshop, and never and not talking about themselves at all. They're just pushing their program, and it's all marketing. And I never want to be like that. I never want to be like that. I am working on a bunch of inner child healing type of things, and it just became apparent to me that it's something I had to do. Only I awoke to the fact that I need to do this by some guy that blew me off a month ago. If you go back a couple months on my videos, you'll see me having made a few videos about him. And it really made me realize that I have some inner issues that I have to work out. Not big issues, but minor ones, but it's still some deep inner work that I have to do. I came across a lady that is making videos on this topic, and the video that came up on my YouTube yesterday was called Loving the Rejector. This is more for women who are pining after men who abuse them and leave them and mistreat them. Now, although men haven't abused me or mistreated me, I do relate to loving or wanting men that wanted nothing to do with me. So I could relate to those videos, even though my situation wasn't maybe as bad, but internally it caused me a lot of pain. And it was more like I needed this person more than I didn't love this person. I didn't know these people. Like all those guys that I hooked up with that blew me off, that I was pining over, that was an inner wound that was my wound that got activated. It had nothing to do with them. And when I think about my marriage, how my ex-husband was emotionally unavailable, and I stayed with him because he was a good father and he was a provider and he was kind, but he was neglectful of me sexually and emotionally, and I allowed it because I thought, but he's a good provider, but he's respectful and supportive of me, but he's a good dad, and he does so many things around the house, and my family really likes him, and he makes sure the kids are nice to me. Like there was nothing on the outside that you could see. So I was looking at all these outside things and be like, yes, he's a person I want to be with. But internally, he always kept pushing me away, and he neglected me emotionally and sexually. And I'm not saying I was the best wife either. All those things made me become, over the years, more and more critical of him, more and more withdrawn of him. But then at the end of our marriage, after year 22, I had some internal shifts going on. I really fell in love with him, or allowed myself to need him and open to him. And that's when the pain really started. But if I'm honest with myself, I've had pain, and I talked about this a few months back, and longing over boys that didn't want me, that go all the way back into my childhood. So what is that about? It's that has nothing to do with that boy. It was just that familiar thing of like wanting something out here, because I was really abandoning myself. I was abandoning myself. See, every time that I want something out here and I don't have it, it's causing me pain. Anything that's causing me pain, I just feel like I need it. That's because I've abandoned myself. I've left myself. I didn't know all these years. I'm just like so freaking grateful now that I have the answer, and that the answer is inside of me, and that it's something I can fix. And it's going to be maybe a little bit painful, but it's something I can heal in myself. And I want to say that you don't have to be with someone who's abusive to you, or a narcissist, or who beats you, or who leaves you, gets you pregnant, and takes off. I think that most people are abandoning themselves in a relationship. I think that everybody, to some degree, unless you're enlightened, are abandoning yourself in the relationship and thinking, what do I have to do or say to get you to behave in this way that is pleasing to me, or that feels loving to me? That's a form of control. Or pining over someone who's hurt you, or who's neglected you, or who isn't giving you what you need, or staying in a sexless marriage. I'm going to say anyone that staying in a sexless marriage that's feeling unloved has abandoned themselves and thought that it was okay, or been angry or sad. Because when we abandon we have to get, as children, the first 7 years of life, we get our sense of self and our love and our worth from our caregivers, because they awaken that in us. They mirror our goodness. They awaken that in us, and they teach us who we are. But if they have their own pain and their own struggles, or they have a difficult life, or a lot of jobs, a lot of work, they don't know how to be there for us, whether they're abusive or they're just neglectful. Like in my case, my parents really loved me, but they were emotionally unavailable. So on the outside, it looked like everything was great. Then my emotional needs weren't filled, and I actually was ashamed of having emotions. I wasn't really supposed to have emotions. I think my parents' lives were just too hard. They couldn't deal with their own emotions, and then if we brought our emotions to them, like whether we were crying or fighting or upset about something, a lot of times it was just too much for them. So we learned not to go to them. We just learned to not go to them and to repress it, And so I believe that all people have repressed a lot of their emotions. And just from coaching people, I know that most people are very protective of their parents. They're not willing to look at where their parents wounded them. But you absolutely have to get honest for healing yourself. It's not to blame them, it's just to get honest, okay? And so those things that our parents didn't give us, now people look for it in the outside world. Like if I have more success, if I have more money, if I have some eye candy on my arm, if I have a bigger house, if I have more fame, if I have more followers, if I'm a better coach, if I'm a better escort, if I'm a better, stronger man, if I have a bigger dick, whatever your story is, then people will love me and then people will notice me. But that's all seeking external validation, because you weren't validated just for existing, for your soul level as a child. And the thing is that none of those things, whether it's a man that you want, a woman that you want, a bigger cock that you want, a lot of guys want that, or better erectile function, or more money, or better job, or more recognition, it will not going to fill you up. It's never going to fill you up. You have to fill it up yourself. No one on the outside can do it. If it wasn't done in the first 7 years of your life, the good news is, I have good news for you. You don't have to look for someone to fill you up. In fact, they can't. It's not possible. You have to do it. And that's the good thing, because you no longer have to be disappointed. You no longer have to be disappointed by people who don't meet your needs, who abandon you and who reject you. You don't have to. When you stop rejecting and abandoning yourself, no one else will be able to reject or abandon you, because it won't feel like rejection or abandonment, and you won't want those people anymore. It's just replaying a familiar pattern. So the whole key is to start being with those difficult emotions and giving yourself, paying attention to those wounded feelings and comforting yourself. So let's go through an example. Let's say that you're, like in my case, say that you're a woman and you're watching videos about how to get the guy or what to text the guy. Now you're looking for external validation. So get that clear right away. I'm looking for external validation. I'm chasing some guy thinking when I get him, or he gives me attention, or he fucks me really well, my life will be better. Or guys thinking that if your wife would just have sex with you, your life would be better, or this woman would want you. So just be aware that you're looking for validation out there, and then just be like, what am I really feeling when I'm aching for this person to give me something? What is it that I'm really feeling? This helplessness, this woundedness, this longing. And how can I comfort myself and realize that this woundedness and this longing comes from my childhood? One of my parents, one of my caretakers, whether it was grandma, dad, mom, whatever, was not there for me as a child. And so I have this wound that I'm looking to get that love from someone else. How can I give this love to myself? How can I be with this feeling in myself? And I'm going to link below this video, a video from this woman I watched yesterday who inspired this. It's super, super good. I highly recommend that you watch this. It's called something about how to, if you keep pining for your ex who rejected you. But I think anytime that you're wanting someone who's rejected you or doesn't want to love you back or validate you, I think you'll get something out of this video. And it's about doing inner child healing work. So, if she appeals to you, by all means, go do her coaching or sign up for her course. I'm going to sign up for her 1 month course because I want to be in a group of people who are doing all that because I'm building my coaching business and I think she's really amazing. And another tip I want to give you guys is there's this really good book called the Inner Bonding Workbook, which is all about healing your inner child. The lady in the video uses John Bradshaw's book Homecoming, but I like this better because this is more heart-based. It's also brings a God into it that is going to be like your source of love for yourself. Because where am I going to get this love to love myself? If my parents never loved me and I don't know how to love myself and have this hole in myself, how do I fill it? Like, where does that come from? Well, it comes from whatever you create as being your God or your power, your spirit, the universe. It could be a star, it could be your inner light, it could be a gold thing. For me, it's like this little friend I have on my right side that gives me that love that I need to pass on through because, although it's important to be able to receive in a relationship, I think that giving is important too, but people who have abandoned themselves will give, but they're really manipulating and abandoning themselves to get something from the other person. So they think they're giving, it feels like giving, but it's not really giving because it's an abandonment. So, okay. So sometimes when I abandon myself, it feels like I'm giving because I'm giving myself up for this other person. And that's not giving. That's abandoning myself. Giving is I'm rooted in myself. I have strong boundaries and core values and I love myself. And I'm giving you the overflow of this love I have for myself. And I'm not attached to the outcome. But when I'm abandoning myself because I've left myself, everything is freaking riding on you being responsive. And if you're not responsive in the way I need, I'm even more lost. And I can relate to some of that. My mother was codependent. My father was, I'm not going to say he's a narcissist, but I'm going to say he's controlling. And we were all in our family afraid of him to some extent. But because I had a close relationship with my dad, I took on a lot more of his characteristics. But I still took on some of my mom's because I saw her as wanting to always be pleasing to my dad. And I really like the concept of a woman being pleasing to her man. I like that a lot. It's so... it's that receptive feminine energy, but it can't come from a codependent place. So I think I had some unhealthy modeling, and I think we all had unhealthy modeling. So I can see that my pain that I've had around men that I've liked has come from me not really owning or trusting or validating my emotions. So bypassing them and being how I thought a loving person would be instead of how I felt. I would question my feelings like, is it okay to feel this way? Is it okay to feel that way? So I feel like I just need a little bit of fine tuning. And I think some people need a lot of fine tuning depending on how horrible their childhood was. If they were, alcoholic parents or emotionally or sexually abused. But I think that a lot of people just had some minor neglect, but that still has an impact. And every time that the more people get triggered or hurt, I'm going to say this way, the more a person finds themselves in a relationship that's causing pain of some kind, whether it's anger, loneliness, sadness, fear, the more those feelings come up in a relationship, the more that person has abandoned themselves. And I myself was in a relationship, like I said, with a man who treated me really well, but I was in intense pain anyway. And honestly, I think a lot of people are. I think a lot of people, this is my opinion now, I'm going to go out on a limb. I think that a lot of people go around having these happy Facebook photos and Instagram photos, and they look fucking amazing. They look fucking happy. And I'm like, I wish I had what they had. And it's all a bunch of fucking smoke and mirrors. Because when I actually talk to people, there's a lot of crap going on. A lot of pain going on. A lot of pain going on. And the reason this pain is going on, because no one has taught us how to love ourselves and how to be present for these difficult emotions. And so they're all repressed and they're down here, but we're dragging them around, bringing them around. And I, for a long time, didn't want to admit that maybe I had a problem, because I was taught as a child, it's a weakness, like I should have it all together. I was taught I should have it all together. And I tried for many years to pretend I have it all together. And in a way, I have it pretty much together. I do have my life pretty much together. But there are a lot of people who have their life pretty much together in their career and all this and that, financially, whatever. But emotionally, their relationships are a source of pain. So people are either in relationships causing them pain, or they're like, who needs a relationship anyway? I'm done with men. I'm done with women. Like all those men, the red pill, the blue pill, like men going their own way. Who needs a woman? They're all wounded and they're all in pain. I can tell you there are a lot of women who are like amazing women that don't hurt men and take half their money or use them. There are great men, they're great women, but we can't attract them when we're in pain, because those healthy people are going to feel unhealthy. They're going to feel toxic. They're going to feel boring. I remember that one of my relatives kept saying that she thought my marriage was boring. It sounds so boring because we didn't have drama, we didn't have chaos. But I'm telling you, I still had a lot of pain because I wanted more closeness than he did. He kept pushing me away. And I allowed it all these freaking years. And all the self-development stuff I've been doing for 10 years or more, I'm finally just now realizing this blind spot I had about unavailable men. And that's because I didn't have this information about this inner child healing. And I want to thank the guy that blew me off 2 months ago as to waking me up to this, because I didn't see the pattern before. I didn't see the pattern. But with that guy, I was a lot more aware of what I was feeling. And I was feeling one thing, but I was acting the opposite way because I was trying to be good. I was trying to be nice. I was trying to be loving. And I could actually tell right after that ended, I was watching a video and it was something about abandoning myself, abandoning ourselves. I'm like, boom, that's it. Now that's what I was doing. I was abandoning myself every single time. And then I start going back and how I abandoned myself with all these other people. And I wasn't really loving those people. I abandoned myself to want them. It was a need, an unhealthy need that could only be filled by me. So as the woman in the video says, which I'm going to link below, it's not about the guy Jack, she calls him. You think you love Jack and you want Jack, but it's that need. It's your own inner need that you're projecting onto him. And so this is the good news. When you're crying over a man or a woman, it's not them that you're crying over. You have this unmet need in yourself. So go back and see which parent. Do you remember as a child that a certain parent, that's a familiar feeling from your childhood, that a certain parent gave you, they were unavailable or they punished you in some way, and you have to heal that pain by allowing yourself to feel it and then comfort yourself. And if you don't know how to comfort yourself, comfort that feeling, then bring your loving God, your loving adult self into the picture and let that person teach you how to comfort that inner child. Or I also like to sometimes imagine, like, if you had a friend who was feeling that, or a little child who was feeling that, how would you comfort them? How would you hold them? And just do that to yourself. And then we also have to start building new neural pathways where we start being around people who are kind and loving to us and responsive, even though we may not be interested in them, is to just get used to some new pathways of going outside of our comfort zone. Because I know for a long time for me, love and pain were so linked. I think for me, it came with my parents being, sometimes they were available and sometimes they weren't. And a part of me was like, I'm not going to show my feelings. I'm not going to rely on people. People aren't reliable. I will never get myself in the position of relying on someone. And, those are all guarded things. And to the extent I guard my heart from pain, I'm going to guard it from joy. That's just unfortunately how it works. You can't be like, okay, I'm closed off to pain, but I'm open to joy. It doesn't work that way. You're closed or you're open. You're either closed to everything or you're open to everything. It doesn't go either way, your own feelings. And, when people get to the point where they really love themselves and trust themselves and validate themselves, they automatically won't, people who are not available at that level will no longer resonate. We just won't really be interested in them anymore, find them interesting or appealing in any way. But that shift has to come from the inside. I'm currently working with a coach on improving my coaching business. I really want to be able to offer like group classes for people struggling with this. I think it would be so juicy because I think people learn so much from each other. So I'm developing myself right now. I just like to make these videos and just chronicle my journey. I don't feel I'm quite ready. I think I'll need like 3 months or so to do a little bit more learning, do a little bit more work on myself. And then I want to start some Facebook groups for women and have us just be in a group and share and help people get through their pain. Initially, I'll be doing it for free. And then once I feel confident, I'll do it for money. I just think it would be so rewarding to make money helping people really not abandon themselves anymore. I just think that would be like a great gift I can give to the world. But I have to be honest, I looked at that lady's video and I'm like, I don't know if I can ever be as good as she is. She is like so good. She says everything so great. I'm like, okay, I know that's just a story. She's just a little bit ahead of where I am. I can get there too. But I hope you check out her video. And again, if you want to work with me as a coaching client, treasurewithincoaching.com. You can book an appointment right there online off my Calendly. And I would love to work with you and help you. I really like helping people with their emotions and anything around people's sexuality. Not techniques, but more like how you feel around your sexuality and, what's keeping you stuck and limiting beliefs that you have. And also, if you'd like to subscribe to my porn page, I have a porn page at Just for Fans, which is actually pretty successful. And that's the other thing, you can be like a self-empowered, self-love person and still have a porn page. Like, they're not mutually exclusive, like, oh, I'm going to be a good girl and I'm going to just teach people to love themselves, but I'm not going to talk about sex. I'm going to be talking a lot about sex. I'm going to be talking a lot about sex because the sexual energy is part of our energy. It's part of who we are in physical form. It's part of our duty to love our sexual energy. And if that's blocked, I want to help people unblock that too. So thank you for watching my video, you guys.